Today is the 22nd of August, 2014. We're at the New York State Military Museum in Saratoga Springs, New York. My name is Wayne Clark. Sir, for the record, would you please state your full name and date and place of birth, please?
Sherwood Davies, born in Syracuse, New York, October 20th, 1917.
And did you attend school in Syracuse?
No, I moved to the Adirondacks. My father developed tuberculosis.
Oh, okay.
So I started school in northern New York, north of Saranac Lake.
All right.
Small community, Lake Wissahickon.
Now, did you graduate from high school there?
I went by bus to Saranac Lake and graduated from high school in 1936.
And once you graduated, did you go to work or did you go on to college?
No, I went to RPI in Troy, New York, and in 1940 received a degree in civil engineering.
And you graduated in 1940?
1940.
And so you were working when Pearl Harbor was attacked?
Yes, I was working as a junior sanitary engineer with the state of New York in Middletown, New York. And that was December 7th, and I remember very well we had about 6 inches of snow that day. Middletown, New York.
Now, did life change for you right after that event?
Not really. I continued working for the state health department, and many of the staff got an exemption from the draft, being with the state of New York, and I was inspecting summer camps.
And what about rationing? Did that affect you at all?
It did, yes it did, the gasoline rationing, and then I got married in 1941 and trying to get food. Coffee was not very good. It was, I missed that.
Oh. And you ended up going into the service in 1943.
43, yes, October of 43.
Now, how did that happen? Were you drafted or did you enlist?
No, the Army was looking for sanitary engineers. In World War I, they had a loss of service by troops because of illness, either from inadequate water supply, contaminated water supply, contaminated food. So the Army then at that time established a Sanitary Corps and recruited these engineers for the purpose of inspecting food service, water supply, facilities, etc.
Now, you received a direct commission?
A direct commission. He was a second lieutenant, and he went to the Medical Field Service School in Carlisle, Pennsylvania for 6 weeks.
Now, did you have to go through a regular basic training first, or you just went directly in and received the commission?
Went to direct, well, I received a direct commission, but the first day of duty I was at the Medical Field Service School and started my training, both for being in the Sanitary Corps and the military indoctrination.
Now, what was that school like for you?
Well, it was a rather intense program on what you do in the military, how you do it, and then we had quite a bit of training on what to look for in terms of inspecting mess facilities, inspecting water supplies, and so forth.
Now, your job with the state, did it involve any of the work that?
That's what I was doing. I was inspecting the summer camps and the hotels in the Catskill Mountains, inspecting public water supplies, waste disposal facilities.
So you were probably ahead of your classmates then, in that regard?
Well, yes and no, because the Army in World War II, or World War I, excuse me, They had a lot of illness due to consumption of contaminated food or contaminated water by the troops, and a lot of lost service. So the Army established the Sanitary Corps to fulfill the needs of getting an adequate water, adequate waste disposal, and adequate mess facilities. So it was just a continuation of what I was doing at the time.
And once, let me ask you this, how many fellow officers were in that course with you?
Oh golly, there were dentists, there were medical officers, there were sanitary engineers. I would guess there must have been probably 50 or 60.
Now, were they all second lieutenants?
No, there were some first lieutenants, some captains, and I think a major or two. Because the Army was recruiting directly the doctors, dentists, professionals.
Once you graduated, what happened next? Where did you go?
I was assigned to the 12th Replacement Depot, and we were located in North Carolina, just outside of Raleigh, Camp Kilmer.
Camp Kilmer.
And it was a replacement depot, headquarters facility, company. And I was stationed there from, well, let's see, November until February. And I was shipped out overseas.
While you were there, were you working in the field of sanitation?
Yes and no. It was primarily just a stop in the units, the 3rd Replacement Depot. Because the 3rd Replacement Depot was a cadre of officers and enlisted men and staff to process troops coming from the States to go into active duty.
Now, how did you get overseas?
In February of 1940, the time 44, I shipped me up to Camp Kilmer and was there for a while, and then finally they shipped us on the Normandy, which is a large ocean vessel. And
now, was that a converted passenger?
that was a converted. That was one of the main French line ships.
All right.
Terrific.
Now, did you go by convoy?
No, we went alone.
ship.
It was apparently fast enough to avoid a lot of the German subs. And, so we had a 7-day trip over.
Did you get seasick at all?
Not then, but I really got seasick in crossing the English Channel one day, and I was never so sick in my life. But
Now, whereabouts did you land?
we landed in Greenock, Scotland, and they took us by train down to Liverpool. They converted our money. It was interesting. They converted our money, American money, to English money, pence, shillings, pounds, and a number of us got into poker games, and we really learned the value of the British money. But then they shipped us from Liverpool by boat over to Belfast Islands, and then we were stationed in Castle Dawson, Northern Ireland, for about 4 or 5 weeks.
Well, was there additional training there, or you were just
No, we were
being held?
just holding. It was a headquarters company, and we had some training, but it was just a short-term stop.
Okay.
From there, we were then shipped north of Southampton on Berrien Hill in southern England, and we received about 3,000 to 4,000 troops, and we were living in tents, sleeping on the ground, and it was really roughing it.
What was the weather conditions like then?
This was May and June, and it was it would be real foggy in the morning some nights, but it was not too bad.
And how was the food there? Field kitchens?
It was field kitchens, of course, no refrigeration. They'd cook the food and you'd have to consume it right away. It was roughing it. We had to have also our latrines, pit latrines. We had to have water for the troops transported by tanker truck. And very interestingly, we had about 3,000 troops. And the water consumption for the 3,000 troops represented about 1.5 gallons per day. That was the drinking, food, the bathing, and it was, for a few weeks, a few months, we were
Now,
roughing it.
as far as bathing, did you have shower points?
We did not for the first 3 weeks. Then we did get a mobile shower unit to come in. That was part of my job, to locate one, get it in, set it up. Where do you set it up? Where do you get the water? You have to treat the water, so it was, but it was that probably was a real pleasure to get a hot shower after 3 weeks on a hillside.
Or bathing in your helmet, right?
That's right. It can be done.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it.
No, I hear you. Okay, what happened next?
Well, I remember this was May, this was in late April, May and June. And of course June, I think it was June 6th was D-Day.
Yes.
I happened to that night pull duty, officer duty, and got a phone call alerting that they wanted, I think about 200 or 300 of our troops to be shipped down to Southampton. So right away I said to myself and my friend who was with that this is it. And it was. It was the start of the conflict. But these were replacement troops that were going to be shipped across over to France. And looking back now, it brings back quite a few memories.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, when did you go over to France?
I really didn't go over. I remained in England with a replacement depot because we were receiving troops that were coming in from the U.S. To go up across to the battlefront, and we were receiving troops that may have been injured or hurt, bringing them back. Maybe we were shipping them back to the States, so it was a transfer of troops. We moved after D-Day, about a month after D-Day, into the Salisbury, which is a large British Army post, and we took it over completely. So we were processing troops all the time.
Okay. And you were still working in an engineering capacity?
I was still responsible for looking at 7 or 8 different messes, and the water supply, the waste disposal.
Any problems you encountered?
Oh, yes and no. Sometimes you'd have sickness, mess. Kitchen staff didn't do what they should have done, and you'd get an outbreak, GI upset.
Yep.
But by and large, we were pretty fortunate. We kept the illness and sickness within reason.
What about time off? Did you have much of that?
Not much at all. We were lucky if we got, once in a while, we were about 60 miles from London. And we'd take get a 2-day pass maybe, go with a friend or two into London, and enjoyed looking at things there. But that was the time of the V2s and the V1s being shot across the channel. And, I remember I went with a friend of mine, and we had been roughing it, and we managed to get a cheap hotel with a bed. And we went to bed at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden the sirens went off. The girls' heels would click on the pavement, running for a fallout shelter. So I said to my friend, shall we go to the fallout shelter? He said, let's stay here. It's the first good night's sleep we've had in a couple of weeks. We survived.
Uh-huh. How close did the rockets land?
I can't, we could hear them. We could hear them land, but it was a trade-off, whether we wanted a good night's sleep in the bed or we wanted to
spend the night in the fallout shelter.
think about being reserved.
Yeah.
No, it's very interesting.
Okay. And did you see any celebrities, any of the USO shows?
We saw quite a few. I remember it there, the day we were on the hillside in tents, and Joe Louis stopped by, and it was quite a treat to see him close by. But we did have quite a few different shows, and a lot of British artists would stop by. No,
Okay. And what about the winter? Like the winter?
Oh, foggier than hell, and at night if you'd go out, you had to have, the Jeeps had slits, and it was very difficult to see where you were going, but the drivers knew the roads pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And we pretty much survived.
And of course, we're heading for 1945. Do you recall hearing about the death of President Roosevelt?
I sure did. I sure did. Yes. And that was unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently he was a sick man at the time.
Yeah.
So. But I really have a lot of thoughtful memories of Harry Truman.
Mm-hmm.
It was Harry Truman that got us back home.
Yes.
I remember at the end of the war, we were stationed, we were supposed to be shipped to the Pacific. And the major discussion among our troops and friends, will they ship you by the Panama Canal, or will we be shipped through the States? We would like to see our family.
Sure.
And having been overseas for a couple of years, it was.
Mm-hmm.
So when Harry Truman ordered the dropping of the atomic bombs, 2 of them on Japan, Japan sued for peace, I have a lot of fond memories of Harry.
I'll bet.
And he had that little slip on there, sign on his desk, "The buck stops here."
Mm-hmm.
And I give the guy a lot of credit for that, what he did at the time.
Yes. Now, how often did you hear from your family back home? Did you get mail on a fairly regular basis?
My wife would write about every day or other day.
Oh, you were married at that?
I was married.
Oh, okay. When did you get married?
In, boy, I'm glad she's not here. Let's see. I got married in 1941.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did your wife feel about you going into the service?
Well, everybody else was going. We had so many friends that were leaving, so many friends that, so she just accepted it. And she got her job in the post office in Washington.
Oh, okay.
So she worked there, and I was overseas for over 2 years.
Now, did she have family down in Washington, or just
She
friends?
had an aunt and uncle that were down there, and she lived with them,
Oh, okay.
which was a nice arrangement.
Yes.
Very nice. My mother was still living at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She was in northern New York.
Okay. And your dad had passed?
My dad had died when I was 8 years old,
Oh.
tuberculosis.
Okay. So how often did you hear from home?
My mother would write about a couple of times a week, and my wife would write every day or every other day. So, and it was V-mail or email.
Yes, the V-mail, the little.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. Now,
I remember this one story. The officers had to monitor, take a look at the mail the enlisted men to make sure they don't convey any information that may tell where we're located and so forth and so on. And this friend of mine was looking at the mail, and he read a couple of letters. He put them back in the envelope. Well, lo and behold, this poor soldier had written to his girlfriend and also his wife at the same time.
oh, jeez.
And the officer had transposed the mail. The wife got the girlfriend's letter.
Oh, my
The girlfriend got the wife's letter. No, that
I'm sure all parties were not very happy.
they were not happy at all.
Huh.
What can happen?
Now, when you did get your mail, did you get like several letters at a time, or were
That
they
would
late?
happen
Or
many times. We'd get
Yeah.
maybe 5 or 6 at a time.
Mhm.
It would come in bunches.
What about packages from home?
We would get those, but it took a while. If they sent any cookies, most of them were stale by the time we got them, but they were still edible.
I would get cake from home when I was in Vietnam, and a lot of times the cake would have mold on the top of it.
But take the mold off, and it was
Sure.
still good cake.
Sure, definitely. Now, when Germany surrendered, that was May of '45.
April, May of 45,
April, yeah.
right.
Now, was there a lot of celebration when that happened?
It sure was. It sure was. It was a big deal, and it was interesting. Right after that, the German surrender, Eisenhower ordered that all of his troops, both officers and enlisted men, look at a 1-hour film of the Nazi death camps, which I thought was it was very, very revealing, and it made to me it made a hell of an impression.
Sure.
In other words, it was saying essentially this is one of the reasons why we're over there,
Yes.
and it was very, very, very revealing.
Now, when you were in England, did you hear any rumors at all about these concentration camps?
We heard about it, yes, and there would be some some German civilians that would be, passing through, and you'd hear the rumors, but it was nothing like the shock that you saw when they were really gruesome films.
Oh, that's what I
They
can
showed
imagine.
us. It was really gruesome.
Yeah.
It really said, well, this is one of the reasons you were over there.
Now, did you ended up in Germany too, didn't you?
Yes, I was after I was in England, and then right at the end of the war, I was shipped over to Germany, and I was there after the war.
Did you see any of these concentration camps while you were in Germany?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
And what did they have you doing in Germany? Same type of
Well,
work?
I was again sanitary officer for the 3rd Replacement Depot, and we were in Marburg, New York, Marburg, Germany. And then I was assigned to the headquarters, SHAEF, Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Forces, which is located in Frankfurt, Germany, which was Eisenhower's headquarters. Very interestingly, in speaking with the Germans and some of the natives, our offices was in the IG Farben building, which was a 6-story, large building just on the outskirts of Germany. It wasn't touched by one darn bomb, whereas most of Frankfurt, Germany, received a lot of damage. And I kept asking people, and they said, well, apparently this IG Farben building was selected ahead of time, and the U.S. was told to avoid bombing it because they wanted that for Ike's headquarters. Whether it's a rumor or not, I don't know, but I could believe that.
I can believe it.
It would be the truth because it was the best building in the whole Frankfurt area.
Now, how were you treated by the civilians?
I would say very well. The language was the difficulty, but I used to have a cleaning lady come in, and I would communicate with her. And you'd get a little background, a little input into what they went through, and they suffered too. And knowing, having seen the city, it was Frankfurt. It was really, there was a tremendous amount of damage.
How long were you in Germany for?
I was in Germany from 1940, May of 45 until January of 46.
Oh, okay, so you were there close to a year. About 8
Well,
months.
I didn't have enough. You remember maybe that you had to have points
Point
to
system.
get discharged.
Yes.
I had been overseas quite a while then, but I was married, but I had no children, and so it's my specialty number, being a sanitary engineer, and they sort of wanted to keep you in. They had some duties for you. In fact, it was interesting because so many communities in Germany had received tremendous damage from bombs. It damaged the water supplies, the waste treatment facilities. And when our troops moved into Germany to occupy it and in the cities, we wouldn't let the troops drink the city water until it had been approved, and you had to have the water from the blister bags, the canvas, 30-gallon canvas bag, and you carried the water on your hip here. And we had to make sure that the city water supply was satisfactory for consumption of our troops. We didn't really look at it in terms of the residents, but only our own interests.
Now, the time you spent in Germany, you went, well, from the time you went in till the time you were discharged, you rose through the ranks to major? Or
I was promoted to first lieutenant in the replacement depot, and then captain, and then I joined the reserves, and
okay, you made major after
when I was
back in the States?
when I was discharged from the service, they automatically promoted you to the next ranks, where I was promoted to major.
Oh, I see, okay.
And then I joined the Army Reserve, and I served up till June of 1950.
Okay.
And I was that close to going over to Vietnam.
To Korea?
Korea, I mean. They had decided to retire me, which I was happy they did. But a week later, the Korean War started, and my MOS, the specialty number, resulted in they wanting these type of people over in Korea. So I just lucked out, having been able to get out of that service.
Okay. Now, when you left Germany, obviously you had the points you needed. You went from Germany directly back to the States, or did you leave from England, or?
No, I shipped from Germany. Let's see, I went up to Bremerhaven, and then shipped. No, I went to France, through France, went to Marseille, I believe, and shipped back by boat.
Okay. Now, what kind of reception? Coming back across, you didn't get seasick or anything?
I did get seasick for a couple of days, but.
Okay. Was it a regular troop ship or Liberty ship?
It was a troop ship, yes.
Okay.
It was a troop ship.
Okay. What kind of reception did you receive when you? Obviously, you probably pulled into New York.
Pulled into Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Okay.
And, but see, I shipped back. Let's see, and came back in January. This was after 5 or 6 months after the war ended in Germany and after the Japanese.
Yeah, so that would have been
So it was in
47.
47,
yeah.
right.
Okay.
So there was not the same celebration.
Right.
It was a routine type of a.
Right. Now, whereabouts were you discharged from?
From Fort Dix.
Fort Dix.
In, I think it was January or February. And then I joined the reserves. And the reserve until June of 1950. That was the Korean War.
Okay. Well, I'll bet your wife was happy to see you.
She was very happy to see me. Yes, indeed. She was very happy. You know,
Okay. Now, before joining the reserves, once you got home, you were discharged. Did you make use of the GI Bill at all?
I did. Yes, I did. I was very fortunate. I got a loan on one house that I bought in Cornell and another house that I bought later when I transferred
Now, did you go back to work for the state?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I remained with them until I retired in 1980.
Oh, all right.
Well, the state sent me to University of Minnesota, and I received a Master of Public Health. And then I became director of the Bureau of Radiological Health in the state, which involved inspecting X-ray machines and licensing radioactive material users. So it was a very interesting job.
Okay. And did you join any veterans organizations?
I joined the Veterans of Foreign Wars, but then I joined the American Legion. I've been a member there for 58 years.
And did you attend any reunions at all?
Not really, no. No.
Did you stay in touch with anyone you were in service with?
Only for a few years. You know,
Oh, yeah.
time changes things.
Yes.
And, I didn't keep in touch with many friends.
Okay. Now, when you went into the reserves, you were obviously doing the same type of work, or was it an inactive type reserve?
It was an inactive
Inactive,
reserve.
all right.
Yes. I just attended meetings, and they require that you take a certain amount of training. And that became rather difficult when I was assigned to Hornell, New York, and I had to travel to Elmira, which is 60 miles away, and that became a chore. So I elected to try and get out, and I was successful in getting out.
Yeah. Okay. I've been to Hornell. That's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
It's out in the boondoggles. You're right.
Okay. Now, how do you think your time in the service changed or affected your life?
Well, I think I have a little different perspective on where we are, where we were, and where we're going, and I don't know. And looking at today's news, it's troubling to me.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, and I'm thinking not of myself, but
Grandchildren
people down the
and
road.
next generation. Yeah, the world has definitely changed, I'm sure, since
It has.
you were a young man.
It has.
All right. Are there any other stories or incidents, anything you'd like to mention, or? Thing that
No, I tell you, I have a little insignia
Oh, okay.
that I'd like to give you. I think this is pretty close to one of a kind. I don't think you'll find it anywhere. Well, let me just. Here.
Okay, let me just see that. I'll have you hold that up, and then we can zoom in on it.
Because I don't believe there's any more of Sanitary Corps.
Okay, if you'll hold that up right in front of you, I think I might be able to
Okay.
zoom in on it.
All right.
Bring it back towards you a little more. This may work, it may not. Because usually if I get too close, it'll... Okay, I think we're going to get it. Okay, and there's an S there for sanitary.
Yeah. This is an insignia of the medics in the Army, but then they superimposed on this medical insignia S, which
Okay.
is sanitary. But today, as far as I can determine, it's abandoned, the sanitary.
Okay.
So I suspect this may be
Okay, and you'd like to donate this to the museum?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you.
Good.
Now, is there anything you would like to ask him? Yes.
No, I'm very impressed with everything you got out. I learned a lot.
Okay.
I thank you.
All right, my pleasure.
You're really an experienced interviewer.
Well, we've been doing this for years.
I assume you have.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Well, I've enjoyed